Hip Hop Speaks to Children, a celebration of poetry with a beat by Nikki, Giovanni. Stories and Rhythm, an introduction by Nikki, Giovanni. As long as people have stories, there will be rhythm, rap, and hip hop. When humans were beginning to develop our own language, separate from the growls and howls, separate from the buzz and the bird songs, we used rhythm, a sound, and a silence. With no silence, the sound is cacophonous. With no sound, the silence is a lonely owl flapping her wings against the midnight sun, seeking a careless mouse. The language of the people changed depending on the group they belong to. It's called vernacular. What's up, dog? Is the language of hip hop. Just like dig it is jazz. Be cool is beatnik. By any means necessary is militant, or I have a dream is promissory. All are examples of language expressing the hopes, dreams, and problems of a particular group. Hundreds of years ago, opera shared the stories of people like hip-hop does today. Both take place in the public square. Opera in the squares of Rome. Hip-hop on the porches and street corners of cities around the world. Both have a lead voice telling the story, with the folk hanging around becoming the chorus, commenting on the action. Opera was how some simple truths about the lives of everyday people were told, right in the public square, so you knew they were real. It's the same with hip-hop today. True hip-hop is made in the public square with all the people around singing and commenting on the action. Don't be fooled by the rap videos out there that exaggerate and show bad behavior. Those videos can be embarrassing and are not real. They could not have been made in the square. Genuine hip-hop and operatic vernacular is bold, boastful, and brave, for sure, because each makes us throw back our heads with laughter, not hang our heads in shame. When we think of sadness of American slavery, we cannot forget the adaptability of enslaved. They were not allowed to learn to read and write, but they needed to tell their story and remember their history. They chose a cadence to preach, the call and response, to learn songs and learn their Bibles. The preacher would sing a line and the church would repeat it. When the cadence was repeated, the story was repeated, and the story was learned. Without the rhythm, the stories of the enslaved could never have been passed along. In 1822, a slave named Denmark Vesey used the talking drum as a code to call his people to fight for freedom. His freedom run was unsuccessful, and the slave owners outlawed the drum to prevent future trouble. But the enslaved had a secret weapon, creativity. They lost the drum, so they drummed on themselves. It's called ham boning. Snap your fingers. That's a ham bone. Hit your thigh. That's a ham boning. Beat your chest. Stomp your feet. That's a rhythm and a silence. You don't need a drum. You can be a drum. When he was awarded the Nobel Prize for Peace, Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Just say, I was a drum major for peace." Back then, when the Titanic sank, there was a famous rap called Shine. People, mostly fathers, uncles, and brothers, would have contests where they would cap on each other or play the dozens playful insults thrown back and forth as fast as possible. People would cap on your mom or your girlfriend, and you would have to answer back. Something like this. Your mama's so old, she was on the Mayflower. Shoot. Your mama's so fat, she ate the Mayflower. It was a battle of words. Of who was quicker. It was the first poetry slam. It was entertainment of the people, provided by the people. Gradually, some people got so good at the dozens, they went professional, and they provided the show for the rest of us. Most people became watchers rather than doers. From the Harlem Renaissance through the 2 World Wars, all people danced, but not that many sang. The blues took the rhythm of the call and response and added a musical beat. The good people who attended church gave us gospel, but it would be rhythm and blues, music that got the US of A out into the square, dancing in the street. The civil rights era gave African Americans public space again. Suddenly, city dwellers were bumping elbows on their front porches, barbecuing in tin tubes, and trying to keep cool by sleeping on the fire escape. The people mingled and shared their hopes, dreams, and voices. It was a time ripe for cultural change, and change was coming. As hard times hit our nation, school budgets and money for teachers were the first things cut. We had lived through the era of segregation and the era of civil rights, but the 1970s were an era of meanness. The public schools lost their funding for school newspapers, for trips to classical musical performances, for visits to zoos, for gym period and showers, for hot breakfast for all, and a good, solid lunch. The schools lost the bookmobile, the school nurse, the annual eye and ear exams, and counselors who believed you should go to school, go to a college. But more, the schools lost their bands. There was no more money for instruments, for uniforms, or for the choral arts. But the kids struck back. No gym? Breakdancing. No band? Scratching. No choral arts class? Rap. 30 years ago, kids invented a new sound. They took old music, added their own new poetry, and found a way to have their creative voices heard. The hip-hop nation was born, sharing a courageous story of the hopes and promises with the world. And is the world ever more glad? Poetry with a beat. That's hip-hop in a flash. One part story, one part rhythm. And just like the church congregations from hundreds of years ago, listening to the call and response, the people embrace the rhythm and remember the stories. Rhythm is how I learned to spell encyclopedia from Jimmy Cricket. And when you're born with a long name like Nikki Giovanni, you've got to rock the rhythm to get the name right. Today, there's hip-hop everywhere, all over the world. And if we can get to Mars, we probably find a group of young Martians, hats flipped back, baggy pants, pants on the baggy side, shirts down to the knees, busting some rhymes, challenging each other in freestyle. Slamming for the money in the pot was raised at the door using a language we don't know, but a rhythm we have understood forever. The hip-hop nation, at home and abroad, across the universe, is kind, strong, intelligent, and free. Rap on, brothers and sisters. Find your voice. Create the cadence. The square awaits. Lights, maestro, please.